And this is the first workshop on this aspect, and another one more targeted will follow, focused on the gender aspects on energy transition. I will invite now Dr. Maria Klapa, who is the president of the 4th Gender Equality Committee. Fourth check.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from me too. And again, congratulations for this initiative that brings together the Institute of Geoenergy of 4th with big institutes and also other laboratories, important laboratories in Greece. About this subject, which is very, very important nowadays. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the gender equality plans and the gender equality initiative at 4th, because Professor Yeropanda actually talked to you about the gender equality committees in the Greek universities. I have to say that research centers, most of the research centers, we are part of a larger state sector, so we are a bit different on the legal identity of us, and also we are under a different ministry. This is changing over time, but we are not under the Ministry of Education, but we are under the Ministry of Development and Innovation. So this, I say that because we don't have yet a law in Greece that imposes the research centers to have a gender equality committee and actually defines the activities and the role of this committee as an independent committee inside the research centers. But we are very happy to say that despite that, and I'll tell you the good news at the end of my presentation, despite that lack, the Greek research centers, 13 research centers that are active in research projects have developed gender equality committees over the last year. And actually, unfortunately I say that, but we had to, on the other hand, we were obliged to follow a gender equality plan because the European Union, which is very interested in this subject, imposed us that if we don't have a gender equality plan, as we heard earlier in the workshop and in the workings of the meeting, of this meeting, we cannot participate in any European project. So finally, we have this gender equality plans around. 4th is the largest research center in Greece. Actually, as you heard, it has now 10 institutes, 9 active and 1 under development. And it is mainly active in physical sciences and engineering. I'm coming from the Institute of Chemical Engineering, Sciences in Patras. And also we have one institute that is in social sciences and historical sciences, which is in Rethymno here in Crete. So I say that because we are large institution. There are not so many. There are many research centers that actually involve 2 or 3 institutes, and there are also some independent research centers. So these 13 institutions I talked to you about, they don't have the same size. 4th is among the biggest, and also is one institution that has institutes in different cities of Greece, which, as you understand, creates even more problems in organizing things. So we have, right now we have 9 members and 9 deputies. one member from each institute, and one member from the central administration of Forth. So at the end, you see also the Institute of Biomedical Research. It was connected with the Molecular Biology and Biotechnology Institute here in Heraklion, but it became independent last, I think, July. So we had these colleagues as observers in this committee, but now they're going to be part of it. So the history, and we are very proud of it, to say that Forth didn't wait for this rule of European Union to actually make a gender equality plan and make a gender equality committee. So there was a short 5-member committee that was actually set up in July of 2018 with the goal to make the first gender equality plan. And in February of 2021, there was this official now gender equality committee, which I'm presiding, and it has the composition that I talked to you about. So the central Forth, actually the board of directors, extended its role as an independent committee based on the law that existed, as Professor Europanda said, about the Greek universities. So the role and scope of Forth Gender Equality Committee is to develop and support the framework of research and work environment, respecting gender equality, and this is not limited only between men and women, genetic, but all the spectrum of genders, promoting the advancement and involvement in leadership positions of women and minorities, and demonstrating zero tolerance to any kind of discrimination and prejudice based on gender. So the last one is very, very important, because we are now in the process of trying to identify these cases and how big a problem may it be, this type of discrimination based on sex inside the Greek research centers. So what actually our scope was to compose a larger, I would say, and enhanced gender equality plan to be part of Forth regulatory framework and manual, the regulations of Forth, to quantify and systematic monitoring of gender equality profile Forth based on standardized indicators, and this is not very easy. We have to do some work on that. Adapting some already established indicators for the general community to the research community, standardized collection and analysis of data from the administration and through a questionnaire to personnel, gender unbiased official documents. We have to say that this is not something that has been established even throughout all the official documents of the Greek state, even though there is a law that imposes that since 2017. So there we had, because in Greek we have actually 3 articles. Okay, so we have one male, one female, and one neutral. But it was very interesting to see, and you can still see in some of the official documents, that it was saying the director, but the article was the male article. Okay, so we, and also in many other, because it's very easy, on the other hand, what I say, because many of the male colleagues say, oh, this is not a big thing, because, we generalize. So we have to use the male article. Of course, if we generalize, we could use the female article, on the other hand. But there is a big discussion about it, that if you use only the male article, then you are excluding, and you are you're not recognizing the half of the population actually inside the community and of course inside the research center. On the other hand, it's very easy when you say the director, the "they" is the male article, while you say the secretary, the "they" is the female article. So actually we make a big effort to actually say the opposite. The director with the female and the secretary with the male article. So this is something we want to do. If also we want to encourage more women in power positions and more women in STEM. So we have to show them that there is also a director with a female director and can be a secretary, of course, it's not no problem, which is a male secretary. So the next thing is formulating the framework for complaint submission, management and resolution. And as Professor Geropanda said, this is not easy task. I would say the Greek institutions. So we have to protect the people who would like to complain, of course the people also who are complained against, so are complaining against. And we have to make sure that there is a workflow. There are also some, there is an office that is probably collaborating with psychologists, with other social science workers, and we need to make sure that these complaints are processed properly. This is something we need to do in fourth also in the next by the end of the year. Monitoring and improving the conditions, processes for recruitment and career development. This is also very important, and I'll tell you in a moment why. Dissemination and raising awareness actions like this one addressed to fourth personnel and the society. Because we are located mainly outside Athens. The new institute will be in Athens. So we are located in regions that are more rural regions. They are also having a very patriarchal structure, historically. So it's something that we need to do, and as part of an academic, a research institution, to try to help also educate the community about that the women and also minorities can be part of STEM research and can be researchers, and they can move in this field. And we have developed a website for this, at least that was the first step, to start promoting our activities and monitor and improve the condition, promoting a work-life balanced environment. And you will see that this is a very big issue, so we are learning also from other European countries, and of course the US has done some of these things, at least the engineering school some years ago, and we are trying to see how we could promote that, and I will make an argument about this as a big problem in promoting also women in power positions. So we have, for this reason, we made 6 subcommittees. And I would say that there is a 7th one, which we are not saying here. So you see the committees is about standardized indicators, about the questionnaire, complaint resolution procedures, recruitment and career development, raising awareness, a website, and improve work-life balance. And there is another big one that has to do with promoting the research about sex differences that affect research in biology, in medicine, in informatics, in data science, and even in many other aspects, but definitely we would like to make sure that these differences are appreciated and they are introduced in the experimental designs in these particular sciences. So why is this an issue? Because we have had actually a recent evaluation of the research institutes But now that the Research Institute evaluation has finished, the research centers will be also evaluated. So I have some data from the previous evaluation of fourth in 2017. So there you can see this big glass ceiling effect. So we have seen that the differences have been reduced at the postdoctoral and the graduate student level. And we are more gender balanced, even in strong engineering-oriented institutes. So this itself suggests the potential for a more balanced gender-related distribution of scientists in the near future. However, when you see this table with the numbers, this balance is completely changed at the faculty level. Okay, so the research faculty level, and as we go up the ladder, the academic ladder, this is even worse. So there is a strong bias. There is something that changes this balance between the postdoctoral level and the level of an independent researcher with his or her own laboratory. And this is not something that is only present in the Greek institutions, the research institution. It's an international phenomenon, and we need, of course, to try to put a finger on it, understand it, and they are trying to change the situation. So the other bias that we have found is that the technical support personnel is mainly male, and it's also usually in the basement of the institutes, while the administrative personnel is usually female, is that secretary that I was talking to you about. And that's why when we put together the administrative and the technical personnel, it seems balanced, but actually it's heavy imbalanced. Again, it's another thing, because the technical personnel, you have engineers there, you have technicians, and you know, why do we recruit only male in these positions and not female? So our current actions is that we are collaborating with the associations of fourth researchers and personnel and communities of postdocs, because they don't have an association in fourth. External collaborations and students trying to understand what is happening inside the institute and how we could address these issues. And we have actually distributed a questionnaire to the fourth personnel, researchers, like students, postdocs, whoever was, paid, and also some students, undergraduate students who were working at fourth for at least 2 months in July. And that questionnaire ended in late July. We are now in the process of analyzing this data, and it will be interesting actually to see, because we had also some hard questions that we would like to see how people are have approached them. Quantification of also gender equality profile of fourth per institute and personnel categories based on standardized indicators. Events on gender equality issues in collaborations with the other committees from academic institutions and public services. And this is where we say that we made a big step forward. And because I told you that we did have a law that actually was defining our role as an independent committee inside the research centers. And now, in collaboration with the Ministry of Development and Innovation, there is an imminent law for the research center that is coming out early October. And we were able to actually put there an article and put what we want this article to write. Let's see what it comes out. Of course, like sometimes we give this to the ministry, but there are some changes on the way. But still, it is a big, TWINN that will be established based on the Greek law as an independent committee inside the research centers. And also this law, which has happened also for the universities, changes our name, so we have more work to do, because this is not only about gender equality, but is also against any discrimination of any kind inside the research centers. I will finish, because I have done a lot of work and we really need that, is how we quantify actually the quality of the gender quality or the anti-discrimination, or the level of discrimination inside research centers of universities. There are different environments from the general public and other institutions. And you have independent labs, you have already power structures inside a laboratory, and you also have a competitive environment that creates all this atmosphere and environment that supports mainly discrimination and other parts of harassment. So there is not right now a gender equality index for research institutions or research environments. There is, for the last decade, a gender equality index that was established from the European Union to actually measure the gender equality inside countries. It comes out every 2 years, even though now they say that 2021, because of the pandemic, is actually very similar to the 2019, because they were not able to actually collect new data during this period. So it comes out every 2 years, and sometimes it focuses on specific aspects, like let's say of innovation. So let's say technology innovation, that was in 2019. I say that, and I know that Professor Stamatakis will also talk about these things, but I just see there are 6 main domains that are measured here. And if we take out health, which also of course is a part, because health is not only what it is provided inside the research center, but how the research center environment is affecting the health, and how the people inside the research center believe that their health is affected by the work they are doing inside the research center. But you see there it says work, so it is participation of men and women in a work position, is knowledge, is power, how many women are, versus men are in power position, is money, is how much money, and if the salaries are the same, for the same work, of course, and it's time. And I say that here because time is what we said about work-life balance. There are some 14 subdomains and 31 indicators, actually very interesting to read these particular indicators. A lot of work behind from social workers, from people who are working in gender equality, of how to create this type of indices. There is even one question there for this time that says, who is cooking inside the family? Who is cooking most? And you will laugh probably, but this is something really that affects who is the main caregiver, who has, apart from his or her work, has the main care inside the program for older people, for sick people, for the children inside the family. It's something that they say that you have to give women time for them to get power position, because power positions require more time from our work. So if we don't have time, and you see a lot of women who have families, who have other cares, they don't have time to actually think, even if they want to have this power position. They can have this power position, but they choose one over the other. So work-life balance is very important. And we say that also not only for women, but also of young parents. And there's been an analysis in US that shows that many men, also researchers, they tend, if they have a child in the first 2 years, that they start their job as independent researchers and lab directors, they tend to get out, to drop out of the academia, of the academic ladder, choosing to go to industry or to some other positions that they give them good salary, but also they give them a structured time frame and schedule that allows them to be with their families and care for the children. So work-life balance is very, very important, and I think inside the universities, the research centers, we tend to lose this balance very often. I will finish by saying that Greece is actually, unfortunately for us, and we need to do a lot of things there in the general public, and we will try through these gender equality plans to actually have this indication of what is happening inside the universities and the research centers. But in the general public, in this general index, we are at the lowest, just above the base of 50% out of 100. The highest score, which is actually quite different, I don't have all the countries here, there are 38 countries, you can find this gender equality index. The highest score is for Sweden. Norway, I know Alejandro asked me, but it's not there because of this European Union index. And you see that even like this, the European Union in general, in average, is not, it's not bad, but it's not probably at the 80, probably, that we could expect. But there is still, space for improvement. We are in 52.5. Okay, we have a 0.5 over there to be happy about. But I told you that Sweden has 83.9. Okay. So they are also, like I told you earlier, that there are 6 main domains, 14 subdomains, 31 indicators. There are a lot of mathematical modeling coming in there. Of course, you need data. Okay, this is another thing, if you can find data there. But in these 6 main domains, you can find in there, in the 14 subdomains, you can find the individual indices. And what I want to point out is that Greece is not doing bad in work and money, because in most cases we have state laws that now specify, based on your position inside the research institution or university, what your salary would be. But on the other hand, we are doing very badly in knowledge, and not all the indicators of knowledge, but segregation. Segregation is how many women versus men are in social sciences versus physical sciences and engineering. And you can see that there is a big segregation. So you mean women are mostly in social sciences, men are mostly in physical sciences and engineering. So this is something that we need to improve, and your also project wants to contribute to this stuff. And also the time, this work-life balance. You can see we are doing, there we are the last. This is 44.7 out of 100, which means that women do not have time, as it says there, to do some other extracurricular activities, because it says how many hours you go to exercise every day, every week, or whatever. So women in Greece, this is a big discrimination, and we have to see how this is also mirrored inside the research centers and the universities. Probably in a year from now, Manus and Spiros can tell you about these things and our findings. And the other very big discrimination that you can see there on the left is power. We have very few women, 27%, a big bias in power position. But if we have no time, no work-life balance, that also affects that, apart from other patriarchal structures. So we say, and if I can finish that by just saying a little bit about how women can and how this project can work in the energy sector and in energy sustainability. This is my 2 cents, and my proposition is that we need to be inclusive in decision-making bodies and committees with women to give a different perspectives and other minorities in this issue. Educate women and minorities as professionals in this field, have more women in physical sciences and engineering, but also in the general public, educate women and minorities in issue about energy sustainability, as they tend to be the most affected by energy crisis. But also take into consideration women's opinions and suggestions on matters of energy consumption in everyday life, as they are the main caregivers and organizers of home activities. Thank you very much.